session I'll be conducting is creating a single sign-on web portal using Azure. Strangely enough, I'm an Office 365 MVP, but I do know a little bit about Azure, and hopefully the reason for that will become obvious as we get into it. But the agenda that I'm looking to cover is what is Office 365. So it still amazes me how many people are not familiar with Office 365 and what it is and what it does. So because that's my core competency, you're going to get a quick update on that. Then I'm going to go dive into Azure. So Azure again is another thing that I find a lot of people, it's talked about. The biggest argument most people have is, how do I pronounce it? Is it Azure? Is it Azure? Right, so we'll cover that. One single sign-on, we'll call that SSO. Another acronym that we'll learn today is WAAD, Windows Active Directory, and Windows Azure Active Directory, and accessing your free WAAD using Office 365, configuring your Azure SSO portal, and then we'll round up. So to kick things off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you, because I'd like to have an interactive session, feel free to ask questions and make any comments you want. Obviously we'll have to try and keep it to time, but if I was to ask you what's Office 365 in a single sentence or group of sentences that a consumer can understand. If you have to go to your boss says, oh, I've been out at a conference, I was drinking with Fred Nurks, and Fred Nurks has got Office 365 and that's the greatest thing since sliced cheese. The next sentence he's going to say, what's Office 365? I know we need it, but what is it? So what's Office 365?
Office in the cloud.
That's a common question, that's a common answer, yep. Anything else? That's another common answer, yep. What else?
Collaboration anywhere, anyplace, anytime.
Cool, somebody's been drinking the Kool-Aid. Anything else? Well, it's definitely not Amazon Web Services, it's definitely not Google Compute, is it? Okay, so the most common perception of people out there is that Office 365 is just the desktop applications but on subscription. I buy Office 365, I get all the applications, but I only buy them once and they get uploaded automatically. Okay? Correct, but a very small part of the whole correct answer. Okay, so Office 365 is also, right, that plus what's called business class email. What's business class email? What's the difference between normal email and business class email?
Hope and no hope.
Hope and no hope, correct. No, what's the difference?
Share domains goes with the emails always?
No, you can do that. Okay, business class emails means I get things like archiving, e-discovery, compliance, malware protection, all of that, and I can control it as administrator. Okay? So all the stuff you're doing with Exchange on-prem, pretty much do with Office 365 as well. Enterprise-grade emails, that's the difference. Okay? Why do people use Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo Mail, all those sort of things? They're free. But at some point, if they're running it as a business, they end up having a bit of a control issue, like getting ads in their emails or whatever. Okay? So again, business class email. The next thing it gives you there, right, is file sharing. The magic word for file sharing in Office 365 is SharePoint. Okay? SharePoint's far more than file sharing, but that's what it gives you. Right? It also gives you, right, HD video. So what's HD video conferencing? There's a right and there's a wrong answer for this, and let's see who gets it right first. No, wrong. What is it now?
Skype.
For business. Right? Whenever you hear link, it's now Skype for business. If you don't say the wrong thing, a shot of lightning will come out of the ceiling and you'll get zapped. Right? Whenever you think link, you enterprise people, think Skype for business. Right? Consumers rule the world. Okay, what else do we get? We also get technical support. Who does technical support in some way, shape for their organisation? Right? I know you don't admit it, but most people do. What's the benefit of Office 365 giving you free technical support? Isn't that going to put you out of a job? No, it's not. The benefit to you is, as soon as you get any problem, the first thing you do as an IT professional is you log a support call in the Office 365 portal. You're paying for it, it costs you nothing extra to do it. As soon as you get a problem, log a support call. If you solve it before they do, woohoo, you're a whiz. If they solve it before you, woohoo, you're a whiz. Right? Use it, it's free. Right? What else do we get? We also get financially backed SLA, which means that if it goes down, you'll get financial compensation. Simple IT management. Who believes in simple IT management? Right? It's a complete fallacy. Right? There's no such thing. All this stuff that tells you simple IT management is difficult. Why is IT management difficult? Because users use IT and they're difficult. They always change their mind. They always want to do something different. They always want to do something non-standard, so it's never simple. However, as Jeff mentioned today, what's the key word as an IT professional that is going to make your life so much simpler today when it comes to IT management? When you want to IT manage something, what's the key word? And it's not SharePoint, unfortunately. What's the key word? PowerShell. Everything and everything can be done with PowerShell. Once you get a script done once, run it again, run it again, run it again. Okay? So again, simple IT management is Office 365 is one of the few hosted environments, I believe, that will allow you to access it remotely via PowerShell. Okay? What else have we got here? Anywhere access? Okay? Who enjoys setting up firewall rules, making exceptions, making holes, making adjustments for these troublesome end users? It's already done for us. Okay, so that's a big benefit. Now, Office 365, to an extent, I'll just go through this, is a little bit complicated because there are two sort of SKUs. You've got your business users and you've got your enterprise SKUs. Your business SKUs, you've got three: business, business essentials, and business premium. The business, you get basically Office apps. You get the cloud-based applications: Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, Link Online. None of the desktop apps. The kind that picks the business option is picking the business SKU for what reason? Why would a client pick this first SKU above all the others? No, why would they pick that SKU? They pick that SKU because they're cheap. They don't want to pay for anything else. Okay? What drives people to want to use Office 365? What do you think is the main driver, in my opinion, that people want to use Office 365? The end user rings you up and says, I want everything in the cloud. I want to use Office 365. What's the motivation that's caused them to come to that epiphany? The thing that's caused them to come to that epiphany is the word OneDrive and unlimited space. They see the word OneDrive, unlimited space in the cloud. Wow, I can now copy my whole file server up to the cloud. I'll never have a problem. I get rid of my servers. Okay? Complete fallacy. Okay? So just beware of that. Now, if you want to add, the business one is just the Office apps on the desktop. I'm talking about business essentials. But here they get their Office apps and infinite storage for their files. Right? Bad solution if they want to copy a file server up there. Business Essentials gives them just, Exchange, SharePoint, and Link Online without the desktop apps. Okay, so these are the people who have Office 2010, don't want to upgrade to 2013, maybe have Macs perhaps. Then the Business Premium gives you the Office apps on the desktop plus the cloud services. So it's a combination of both. Then you've got similar SKUs on the enterprise. So Pro Plus gives you the Office apps and OneDrive itself. E1 gives you basically just the cloud services. And E3 gives you all of them combined. Okay? What's the difference between the business plans and the enterprise plans? Apart from price. One of the differences is, and there are many, the business apps here, Office apps, is Office Standard. Not Office Pro Plus, Office Standard. Whereas in the Office 365, we get Office Pro Plus. What's one of the biggest differences that you need to know about as an IT professional when it comes to the difference between Pro Plus and Office Standard? What can you install on an RDS server? Not Standard. Standard is not licensed to run in an RDS environment. You need the customers with Pro Plus, no problem. If you have customers with business, problem. Okay? One of the other differences here is that the mailboxes in the enterprise allow you to have unlimited inboxes. How much of a problem is that? Ginormous problem, but it's a big seller. Okay? Enterprise plans give you e-discovery, compliance, information rights management, all these sort of whiz-bang things. Okay? Now, the big benefit now is that Office 365 you can mix and match your plans. So some users can have business or business essentials. The managing director can have E3. I can mix any of those plans throughout. Fantastic, great option. I can pick any option that I want. Okay? Are there any questions in general about Office 365? Okay, greatest thing since slice choose. Now, you can also buy them standalone if you want. Now, second question of the day. In one simple sentence, what is Azure? Tell me what Azure is. I'm a managing director, I'm an average user. I hear Azure, 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 or Azure, Azure, Azure everywhere. What is it? How do you tell me what it is? Why would I buy it? Surely someone here knows. No? The trick to it is explaining it simply, isn't it? Okay, so here's my definition of what Azure is all about. Azure is your on-demand data center. I pay for what I need, when I need, by the minute. I don't need to have to go out and set my own private cloud. I don't have to move my own servers to a data center. I don't have to go and get a rack. If I want a website, I use Azure. If I want to run a virtual machine, I do Azure. If I want to get into machine learning, I use Azure. If I want to have an SQL in the cloud, I use Azure. Very cheap. So that's the way to think of it. Now, some very important definitions here around cloud computing. So, if we start on the left-hand side, we have our traditional packaged software. You install this on your desktop, and it makes the user really happy. Until what? Until they've got to patch it, update it, change it, move it, right? It's a lot of work here. You've got to look after the whole thing. But if I move into the cloud, into an Azure-style environment, I can take advantage of the first thing is infrastructure as a service, as Jeff mentioned. That means I can let Microsoft give me a server of my choice of whatever power that I want, and I can install on that my choice of operating system, my choice of software, my choice of application, and then put my data on it. Okay, and as you see in Azure that Jeff showed you, you can run Windows 2012, Windows 2008 Server, Linux, all sorts of flavors. Bad side about infrastructure as a service, everything from the OS up, you have to continue to manage. You have to patch, you have to update, you have to fix, you have to maintain. But the trade-off is you've got flexibility as though the machine's sitting there next to you in your office. What's one of the big advantages of something like this? Right. How many of you have ever had to upgrade the hardware on an existing environment? It's lots of fun. It's lots of fun. In Azure, you just say, well, I want more memory, faster disks and this, change it from this virtual base model to this base model, machine reboots, I've got better performance. Easy. The next one across is platform as a service. So, if I'm going to run a web server, why do I need to run an operating system, IIS, and all that sort of stuff? I can use Azure websites and just run the application and the data. Microsoft then looks after the load balancing, runtime, the operating system, everything that runs behind the scenes. They patch, they maintain, they update. If I just need to run a website, perfect example. What's another great example of an Azure platform as a service, besides websites? What else does Azure supply to run as a platform as a service? So you don't have to worry about all the back end Okay, is anybody here an SQL wonk, SQL person? Right? Azure has an SQL service. Okay? SQL, users love to fill that full of data. Users complain when it runs slow. Users always want more space. Load balance. Geo-redundant. If I go here, it's done for me. If I do it here, I have to put the operating system on, I have to put SQL on, I have to do my own load balancing, I have to patch it, I have to update it, I have to do all that work. Doesn't make sense. If all you want is Azure. Third option here is where it's managed by the vendor from end to end. That's typically Office 365. That's the far end of the spectrum. So we're looking generally at Azure for most people is infrastructure as a service and platform as a service to give you that flexibility. Okay? Now, if we break it down a bit more, Azure is, like I said, a group of services that you can purchase on a demand basis. So what we have here, for example, is in the application services, platform as a service, we have things like our integration, our websites I talked about. Right? We have Hadoop, we have media content streaming. In the data services, we've got our SQL, we've got Hadoop, we've got blob storage. And as our infrastructure, we can do virtual machines, virtual networking, VPNs, and so on. All of these are available in Azure today. You pay for what you use. Okay? Now, if you have a look at here, one of the application services that's provided to you is identity. In the Windows environment, what does identity mean? As a technical person, how do you convert the word identity into technical speak? In the Windows Microsoft world, what does identity mean in the Microsoft world? Active Directory. Okay? So think of this like Active Directory. So you get Active Directory in the cloud as a service. You can still run it for DC, you can still connect users to it as you do now, but there's actually a service, Windows, Azure, Active Directory. Okay. Now, how does Microsoft use identity? There are three identity types. MS Online IDs, right? These are the Microsoft Live accounts. Hotmail.com, Live.com, all that sort of stuff, right? Great, they're free, typically for small users. There is no service required on-prem. Microsoft does all that for you with their own service. You don't get single sign-on, you don't get two-factor, and you need two sets of credentials to log on to potentially on-premise stuff and in the cloud. Okay, and again, this is just in broad strokes. You can integrate them, you can do a lot of things to put them together, but in broad strokes, that's your first sort of identity. Right, this is your Hotmail user, this is your Live user. Okay?
There is two-factor authentication available for...
Correct, for Hotmail and those sort of things. Yeah. Correct, yeah. But again, it's an additional service generally that applies just to Hotmail. The second one, this is the big one that Microsoft's pushing now, is the combination of an MS Online ID and DIRSing. Okay, so DIRSing basically, in a nutshell, which we'll come to, copies your AD to Office 365. So the same users on-premise and your AD are now in Office 365. That means you don't have to create logins, they're already mastered on-prem, and you're starting to get coexistence. But again, you see, no single sign-on, no two-factor, and you still need two sets of credentials. Okay. Now the third option is the fully integrated federated IDs, which were generally aimed at larger premise, and they give you full single sign-on. So you sign on once, you get all the IDs, and you can do two-factor and all that sort of stuff. Now the con here is highly available server deployments. Can someone tell me what they think highly available server deployments mean? If I was to say highly available server deployments, what would you be thinking?
What's the bandwidth?
No, not necessarily, no.
100% up, lots of service.
100% uptime. How do you get 100% uptime? Or 99.9999.
Redundancy.
Right, which means redundant servers, domain controllers. Has anybody done ADFS? Active Directory Federation Services? Okay. So if I have an on-premise server and I want it to trust Office 365, I have to set up a federation service, which means I have to set up a role on my servers called ADFS, Active Directory Federation Services, and say to Office 365, I trust you, you trust me, all our certificates are good, we encrypt together, we're cool. But when I do that, what happens if my ADFS server fails? Nobody can log in. What happens if my broadband link goes down? Nobody can log in. Okay? Highly available. If you're going down that path and you want truly single sign-on with Office 365 and those sort of things, you need to consider this high availability. So DirSync is probably your best option because it's a copy, it's a replica. Now, talking about DirSync, so it synchronises users, groups and contacts to Windows Azure AD. Fred Smith on-premise gets copied up to Fred Smith in Azure. Right, a distribution group gets copied up into Azure. Now, notice how it says users, groups and contacts. Does it copy all your AD, every single attribute? No. Okay, it's a select group of attributes that it copies up. Okay? Users will have a different password in Windows Azure as they have on-premise. Because here, remember, see here, it says users, groups and contacts, not their passwords. Okay, this is DirSync. I'll come to the other in a minute. Now, since then, there is a new tool called Azure AD Sync Tool, and it replaces DirSync. Okay, so what that does is, that's the latest tool you should be using, and that's going to give you a number of key features. It's going to give you, it synchronises users, groups and contacts as it did before, right? And it allows for synchronization of AD passwords. Fred Smith with password 123 gets copied up to the cloud service with Fred Smith password 123. If Fred Smith changes his password in the cloud, it gets copied back to on-prem. On-prem changes, it gets copied to the cloud. Still a copy, but now it's more of a replica. So if you're using DirSync, look to move to Azure AD Sync Tool. Now, again, this new feature will allow the same user to sign in to Office 365, which is run by Azure, as well as your local AD. Okay, so now we've got one local AD, which we're now copying up to Office 365 and Azure. So this now means that we can now look at identity. We need to solve identity for CRM, Office 365, potentially Intune. We've got custom line of business applications and we've got things written by developers. Okay, non-MS cloud-based apps. One user needs to log into all of those inside a business potentially. Then, they also need to log into a Windows Active Directory on-premise, and they may need to log into other directories like a phone system, and we need to control their local PCs and their devices, which we have to do through identity. And traditionally, the way we've done that was with an AD. So if we set up our Azure AD as the center of our universe, okay, so this is the center of our universe that can be accessed anywhere, we can now synchronize or copy these directories to Azure AD. So now Azure AD has a copy of our local on-premise users and information. That can then be used to authenticate to Office 365, CRM, and the Microsoft Cloud applications. That can then also be used to control the devices on our desktop. So now we're getting to a point where it's still an AD, but now it's an AD in the cloud. Right? How many people here would like to be able to apply Windows group policy to mobile devices? Right? Who would love to be able to apply group policy to a mobile device no matter where it is? Okay, we're getting towards that sort of environment. So if you've got an investment in an AD, you don't have to throw it away. You can connect it to Azure. you can use Azure to extend what you've got. So, with that in mind, what is Azure Active Directory? Okay, so again, it handles identity and access management in the cloud. Okay, it has directory services, identity governance, application access management, okay, and it allows developers to hook into it. Does anybody use the accounting package Xero, X-E-R-O? Okay, cloud-based app is now allowing you to log into Azure and automatically authenticate to Xero. One login, third-party apps. Okay, it's becoming more and more a standard they want to use. Why should Xero write its own identity management system? All it needs to do is say, are you trusted? Yep, and that somebody else can verify that. Okay, most people pay for external security, same sort of deal here. So there are three versions. Unsurprisingly, there is a free version. There is basic and there is premium. Okay, so they're the three versions that you get out of the box. Now, what most people don't know is that you get the free version when you buy Office 365. If you're an Office 365 subscriber today, you get Azure Active Directory free version for free. Most people don't know that. They're getting a bonus, a free bonus, which they're not using. Now, what are the differences? So the free version allows you to manage accounts, synchronize with on-premise directories, get a single sign-on across Azure, Office 365, and a lot of popular software applications, which is what I'm going to show you. You get that out of the box. No additional cost. You can manage your Office 365 users from Azure. Change their passwords, do all that sort of stuff from within Azure. You don't have to go to Office 365. The basic version will give you all that, plus it will give you potentially self-sign-on password resets. Right? Users have real problems with passwords for some reason, and they always need them reset. Okay, you can do an application proxy, and you also are starting to get 99% uptime SLA. The final version, the premium version, gives you all the capabilities of the other two, plus it gives you identity management capability as well as things like branding and group-based access. What's group-based access? Things like group policy. This group of users can do this. This group of users can't do this. This group of users can get to these apps. This group of users can't do it. Okay, so free, basic, and premium. And again, the other one here, typically under premium, is multi-factor authentication across all the Azure AD supported areas. Okay, so the very first thing you should do, does everybody here have Office 365 or use Office 365, the commercial version? Okay. When you finish here today, you should go home and do this immediately. Log into Office 365 portal. In the left-hand side down the bottom, under the admin console, there is a new item here called Azure AD. Has anybody seen that? Have a look. Right, it won't bite you. If you select that, it will take you to an Azure AD account creation page. You will be asked for your details, phone number. You'll have to verify your mobile phone. But what's the one thing that's missing here? Is anybody who signed up for an Azure trial or a normal Azure account? Okay. What's the thing missing between exactly? The thing missing between this and the normal Azure stuff is not asking you for money, not asking you for a credit card, which means it's free, right? Just put in your details, push the button. Once you've pushed the button, it will then spin up and you'll see that you have a subscription here that I can now start using it. The subscription that I have is Azure access to Azure Active Directory. So many names. Okay? So once that's all set up, you've got a free Azure subscription just for Active Directory, and then you click on the little blue button, and you should then see a Azure portal, but with one item in it. This is your Office 365 users and AD. Right? And that's the name of the one that I was using. Now if I select that and I go into it, you'll now see that I have my users, groups, blah, 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 across the page. These users here will be the exact mirror of your Office 365 users. Want to change their password? That's where you can change it. Because Office 365 uses Azure as its identity management solution. Now that we've finally got all of that out of the way, what do we do next? Well, if you go into the portal and you've logged in with your Office 365 Azure AD, you'll see that the next one across here is called Applications. Right, if you select that, you will find you will have these two already pre-configured for you. Right? Exchange Online and SharePoint Online. So if today any of your users go to myapps.microsoft.com and log in with their Office 365 account, they will see a single sign-on portal with two icons, that one and that one. Their single sign-on portal is already up and running today. But now we can extend that. We can add additional applications into that single sign-on portal so that the user can log into their GoToMeeting, to their Windows Live, to their Salesforce.com, all from that same portal. How do you do that? You go into Applications, then you select the Add button down the bottom here. Right, so I want to add an application into our portal. What we then do is we can select the option here, add an application from the gallery. You can obviously do your own if you're a development site, but again, select from the gallery. Now when we go to the gallery, right, see how many applications are currently available? 2,455 web-based applications are already pre-configured, ready to go for you to add into your single sign-on portal. In this case, I've picked Evernote. I do a search, Evernote comes up, I select that service. I'm going to add that into my user's single sign-on portal. Once I've done that, there may be some other configuration steps depending on the app, but all I need to do now is assign my users. So I've added Evernote in as an option. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my user, right, so I'm going to select the user here. This is my Office 365 AD, right? I select that user and I'm going to assign them to Evernote web app. Right, so I've added Evernote for everybody. I select the user that I want to add Evernote for, go to the option there for user, and then depending on the app, all I need to put in here is the user's Evernote login and password. If I have 5 users who use Evernote, I set up the first user with their login and password, the second user with their login and password, everyone unique. What does that mean? If I'm doing that as an administrator, what does that mean? Why would I bother doing this? I will guarantee you that once a day, a user will come to you and say, I've forgotten my password. I need to reset my password to some third-based party app. Right? My philosophy is users should not be trusted with passwords. They are so valuable, and yet they can't seem to remember. So don't trust users with passwords. This will bypass that. You can control that, you set that up. So if you want to give your organisation 5 accesses to Evernote, you set it up, you create the usernames, you create the passwords, you remember it, you store it where you store it, you program it in here, the users have no concept of what it has to do. They log into their portal with their ID, gives them access to everything. Now once you've done that, okay, then you will see that this user is then allocated to that account. Now if they then go to myapps.microsoft.com, it'll take them to the Windows Azure Active Directory. Not the Office 365 login, the Azure Active Directory. They log in with their Office 365 account, because that's valid in this AD. Then, magically, they get to see Evernote. All they do is click on any of these icons. When they do, Evernote is automatically launched. Their login and their password, which you just configured, is pumped into the app via SAML, via the security tokens in the web, through the web browser, and you end up in Evernote.
How about Evernote apps on the tablet devices or mobile?
The idea is they have to log into the single sign-on portal first, and then they can access it from there.
So it has to be web-based.
At this point in time, yes, this is totally web-based. So it's more aimed for those users who are sitting at a desk or sitting on a machine and need to get to Xero, Dropbox, all those cloud-based apps that you can't control. Okay, but this again, early days. Okay. Now, the other thing it gives you as an administrator is you can go into the Evernote app, right, the dashboard, and you can see how many users actually signed in and how many unique users are signed in. So you've now got tracking of who actually uses Evernote, who uses these web-based apps, what days do they use it. You can now track and see what's going on. Question?
I'm just a little bit confused. You have to put a password to get to Evernote.
Sorry?
Users. You have to enter a password.
Yep.
When you do the widget.
Yep.
For the users to have access to Evernote.
No.
This is different.
You, as an administrator, you set up their login and their password in the portal, right?
Alright.
Then-
When they use their active
Then they log into their portal. Then they don't have to put in another login or password to any of these apps.
It's a mapping, isn't it?
It's effectively a mapping. So you say when user X clicks on Evernote, pull out these login details and put them in automatically for them. Okay? So single sign-on. They log onto the Azure portal, and then everything else logs into them automatically.
ADFS, you could ask Evernote to query a token.
Sorry?
With ADFS, you can, you know ADFS?
Yeah. You could do ADFS, but what's the downside of ADFS?
Okay, if it's not available, wherever you won't be able to log in.
But it's also a big commitment for ADFS on premise, right? Isn't it? How many small, especially smaller businesses, are going to run ADFS? Not a lot. Okay? So yeah, it's an option. I'm not saying it's the only option, but this is all web-based without putting in any other hardware. Okay, so we get Evernote, we get the tracking, we get all that sort of stuff. Now, as I mentioned, if you go into this portal today and you set this up, here are some of the examples of the apps that are running that you can already pre-configure. Box, Google, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Yammer, Skype, all that sort of stuff. Gives you far more control over all these applications because your users are using them. Okay? What's the most insidious application that most commercial users run on their network that IT does not know about? Dropbox. Without question. Dropbox. Why do they use Dropbox? Because it's too difficult for them and IT is causing all these problems, so they set up their own unique shares. Okay? Here I can control it all and still give them access to that app. Now, what good is using those apps if I don't know what they're using? So Microsoft also has this thing called a cloud app discovery, right? You can discover what all your devices in the hands of your users are actually doing. Where are they going? What are they installing? What are they accessing? So what you do is basically put an agent, right, on these devices. It will then log that access to a centralized cloud app discovery area in Azure, and it will give you a lovely dashboard here that will show you what your users access, when they access it, how often they access it. Users, most software is going to the cloud. People are using it directly. To control that on premises can be very difficult. This way, if you train your users to use a single sign-on portal, you've got full control of it. And you maintain the logins, the passwords and whatever, and you've got full control. Now, moving forward, this allows you to connect and sync your on-premise directory. You don't have to throw out your existing on-prem AD. You can synchronize what you've got with Azure AD. Right? What you've got on-prem, you synchronize the identities to Azure AD. Then you can, like I've just shown you, integrate up to 2,400 popular apps, more coming every day, write your own, and as you can see, all you've got to do is find it and select it, add it to the portal, okay, and then as a administrator, you've got identity and access management in one single console. You can look and control the user's LinkedIn, their Facebook, whatever web-based applications you want them to use, you can manage and control that. Free, out of the box. If they're using Office 365, free out of the box. If you want to use it without Office 365, you need to get an Azure subscription. Okay, again, centralised management. You as the IT professional now can have much better control over how these apps are accessed, when they're accessed, and what they're doing. Okay. You can set it up in a single sign-on portal. You can set up put a management agent to see what they're doing, because they're using web-based apps. Guarantee you. They're already using a whole range of web-based apps that you've got no idea they're using. Unless you're looking at their firewall, unless you're looking at your firewall logs, it's unlikely you'll know. Right? This provides you the ability to do that. Okay, so with that said, there are some references which I can give you. That's my email address. Are there any questions on what I've covered here? I'm happy, I can show you a demo, I can run through it and do it in live time, hopefully. But before I do that, are there any questions on any of that I've covered?
Rob, you talk about the Azure AD as being quite a great tool to use to kind of regain control over the apps and stuff like that, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
I guess, it seems too good to be true. What's some of the things we need to watch for?
Okay, so as we, hang on, let me just get this. Let me get you the portal across here so we can just see this while we're talking. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, so that's the portal, right? So let me just bring that across. Let me just log into that so I can show you, because it requires intense concentration to log in with the right details here. 365.com.
The password is, I messed this up one too many times, so now it's bloody long.
No, it's not quite that complex, luckily. And I didn't get it right for some reason. Thanks, Wayne. Distracting me. Okay, so in the real world, okay, so that's the single sign-on portal. Now, back to your question about downsides, and there always is a downside. It's a compromise to be made. Office 365 is not, I repeat, not, stamp on the ground, jump up and down, pull my hair out, Server 365. Okay? It is not Server 365. You do not take your 25 gigs of server data and drop it into one document library in SharePoint and that becomes your server. Azure AD is less feature rich as on-premise AD. There are limitations around some of the objects, some of the things that can be done. Okay, it doesn't do the full range of services at this point in time. So there are limitations around that. So if you have complex AD needs, specifically things like low-end group policy, okay, if you're using the AD in some other advanced way, there are limitations. But that's changing daily, okay? The Azure AD is becoming a very powerful identity management solution going forward. If you're not looking at this, the recommendation is to, that you should be. So let me just duplicate my screen so I can see what I'm doing here. Hopefully this will ruin the recording forever. So now if I go to my other tabs, let me just minimize that. Okay, so if I go to, okay, so that will be my Office 365 login, but I don't need to do that. I just log into my Azure AD panel. But as an administrator, right, so I'm logging into the Azure Active Directory here as the administrator of my Office 365. So this other tab here, the one you just saw, that's the, this one here is the end users portal. Right, so if I log in, hopefully successfully, to the Office 365 Azure AD that I've got for free. Okay, so now you'll see that the only option I've got is the Active Directory. Okay, so this is my free, this is the only thing I've got. Now, what happens if I want to now add virtual machine service, if I want to add Azure websites? What do I do here? I go in and buy an additional Azure subscription, and I add it to this subscription. Right, so I have my free subscription, I can add a paid subscription on top of this. Now if I go into my AD, all right, I go into my users, these are my Office 365 users. Exactly as they are in my Office 365. But if I go into applications like I noted, you'll see that, okay, there's no Evernote. Okay, so if I go in here and add, I go to an application from the gallery, all right, and this is where I type Evernote. But for example, those of you who are using Xero accounting, bingo, Xero is already there. Okay, so if I put in Evernote, okay, finds it, I select Evernote, I'm now going to add that to my single sign-on portal as an option, and I need to select the checkbox to do that. You'll now see that Evernote appears up the top here. It's now been added to the single sign-on portal. Okay, now I need to just go in as we did with the thing, assign the user. Okay, so I'm going to go in and find my user here, hopefully. Are they in there? Maybe I've got to scroll down. So added them, or are they alphabetical? Where is he? There he is. There he goes. There he is. And then I assign the user. Okay, so I want to enter the Evernote credentials, and I do that manually. Okay, so then I would put in my login. Okay, and then I would put in my password, which I don't particularly want to share with you because it is my live account. Okay, so let me just flick. I can't do that. I'm going to have to minimize this and go back to extend, sorry. And then I would put my password in and then basically save it. Okay, so not what I want. Can I minimize it? Where is it? Hopefully. Let's see what this is. That's hopefully password which you can't see, which is good. And then we go back to this. And let's see if it works. And then I save. And then hopefully, let me just duplicate my screens again. Actually, don't want to do that. I want to go to some other application and then duplicate my screen. And then go back to my portal, and you should see that, hopefully, back here, Evernote for that user has been added. Okay, so I put in that one user password. Now if I go back to the users, the unique users portal, okay, so not for this site. So if I refresh this page here, or log in and log out, hopefully, all right, see up here it says you have new apps that have been added. I just go to update. Evernote now appears. I click on Evernote, opens a new tab, logs me in automatically. You can see it doing the web-based authentication for me. Don't have to touch it. And now I'm into my own private Evernote. I've logged in once to Azure with my Office 365 login, and I can get access to all the cloud-based apps that I'm using. And that is free.
The Azure AD single sign-on solution, does it have to use the AD as the identity provider? Can it use other,
Such as
Google, Facebook, or?
no, the whole idea is Azure AD is the identity which sits behind everything.
Right.
Now I would tell you that there are links between Facebook identity, Google, and running it, because that's another directory. So there's, you could probably create an interface between them, so they all work together. But I can't tell you I haven't got that far.
Right.
But in theory, yes, because as I understand it, you can log into SharePoint, you can log into Azure websites, I believe, using Facebook and Google ID. So yes.
Had Facebook on the list.
Yeah. So yeah. Unfortunately, no, I've just focused on the Azure side. Okay. user and knock them out, select the application and knock it out, and it's already updated. So if your ad users are spending a lot of their time working in the cloud with cloud-based apps, and they're using Office 365, they've got this for free. Right, they've got this for free. So again, no reason in my book not to be using it and configuring it as now.
So when you were going through and adding that, saying something about the user could do the username and password on it, when you do direct, does that lock them out of doing their own?
Yeah, but they can still, again, it comes down to, I've now got the facility to log into a web-based app where I can control the username and password, right? So I can set all that up so I maintain full control, they don't know the login, right? Or you can go to the user and say, I can make it easy for you, give me your username and password and I'll put your app in the portal and it will automatically log you in for it. Up to you how you want to configure it. But if you want to be the IT pro that controls everything from end to end, and your users want to use OneDrive Consumer, you go and set up 5 OneDrive consumers with the email and the login you want to use, you configure that in the portal, and then you allow the user to access it. They don't need to know the login and the password. What's the benefit of that? The benefit to that is they're not going to be able to use it at home, are they? They're not going to be able to use it away from the office, are they? Because they don't know the login and the password. Okay. So if you want to control a business app so they're only using it in the office so they can't log in remotely and fiddle with it when they're at home or when their kids are on their PC or something, again, set it up in the single sign-on portal, control the login and the password, and then they have to go through the single sign-on portal to get to it.
You mean you can't use it at home, can't they? Just log into the portal at home and then they go...
Yeah, exactly, that's right. But what I'm saying is they can't use a standalone, they have to go through the Azure portal, which means it's logged, tracked, configured, all that sort of stuff. Whereas before, they could log in anywhere, on any platform, on any machine. But now they have to go through a corporate portal to get to it, is what I'm saying. So it gives you more control. Questions? Comments? Feedback? Everybody's asleep. I've achieved my ends. Well, if there's no questions, if there's no feedback, our time is up. Thank you very much.